Hey, and welcome again to How We Got Here's Genealogy Happy Hour. I'm your host, Brian Nash, and today we're going to be doing something a little different. I have Chris, and I don't want to say his name wrong because I know I'm going to get it
That
wrong.
happens all the time. Pronounced Ferraiolo.
Ferraiolo? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't do too bad then. Um, so, Chris is going to be talking to us today specifically about researching your Italian heritage. Not something I know a lot about myself because I don't really have any Italian in me unless you're talking about the spaghetti dinner I had the other night. But um, the so Chris, I know Chris through WikiTree, which is you viewers who watch me regularly know it's my favorite place to do genealogy on the internet. And Chris is one of the coordinators of the Italy project, and so I thought he would be the perfect guest to explore Italian ancestry. So, Chris, why don't you just introduce yourself? And one of the things I always ask people on my podcast, and I'll ask you too on this, is when you're introducing yourself, also just you can just tell us how you got interested in genealogy.
Well, it all started a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I'm joking. It actually started, I want to say maybe like when I was little. My grandfather passed away when I was 4, right? So I always wanted to know who he was, where he came from, and all that. Because I didn't know him. I don't have any memories of him, but I do have like one picture of him. I'm sitting on my grandmother's lap, and he's, sitting right there. That's like 1970s outfit on. He looks ridiculous by today's standards, but it was the 70s. People wore polyester. They were just like whatever. So I was asking my grandmother all these questions. I would asked his sister Nicolina everything about, where they were born in Italy, because they were both born in the Calabrian town of San Pietro Amida, just like way down the toe of the boot of Italy. And my grandmother's family came from a town called Gesualdo, which is just like a little outside of Naples, I want to say. Yeah, just a little outside of Naples. And I would ask them questions and questions. And every now and then we would go over, and she would have her sisters over, and there was this round table, and everybody would be like talking about who's related to who, what their second cousins got into that week, and I would just be like eating my lunch, listening to these stories. And like, yeah, can you tell me more about this? They're like, yeah, in a minute. They would just go off on these like tangents, and that's how I got information on my dad's side, which is my dad's all Italian all the time, like half the tree. So once I was done with that, I'd be like going to my other grandparents and be like, "Hey, Grandma Oli just told me about this family member. Can you guys tell me about anything?" She's like, "Oh yeah, sure." That's how I found out about like all these French Canadian ancestors and ancestors who served in the American Revolution and all that. So by like 2006, I registered on Ancestry.com, and I'm like, all right, I gotta put all this information to good use. It's been in my brain for like forever. I gotta do something with it. So I created a tree, and yeah, I was working on it like off and on to like about 2017. That's when I registered on WikiTree, and it's been working on that ever since. So just kind of like building up on who's related to who, finding if any of the stories I heard were true. Some of them were, some of them weren't. So I just took it from there. I You're muted, dude. You're muted.
Sorry, that sounds like the story of a lot of people when they are starting to search their ancestry. That it starts from that relative that we just have curiosity or just that um, inkling to know. Now, you said you have Italian ancestry on one side and the other side is mixed. Is that it?
Yeah, it's French Canadian and a little bit of American. It's
Okay.
like my mom's side is like 3/4 French Canadian, and there's like a little sliver of New England in there too. So
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. It's a good hybrid mix of French and Italian.
Yeah,
Must have,
basically, I'm gonna tell my New England mutt. So yeah, that's
you
basically what it amounts to.
must be good food on the
A lot of wine.
So if you're starting out, if a person's starting out and they are trying to discover a bit, they've found out they have Italian ancestry, maybe they're not as blessed to have not be a second generation that have that, or first generation would be able to have that contact with their actual relatives that were from Italy. Where's a good place to start? So you've traced your relatives back to Italy, and you, like, when you're starting to look for records there, you know who came over, but you're trying to find them.
You have to keep in mind that Italy is a big country. It's very large, and it's also very, very ancient too, obviously, because of the Roman Empire. So what you have to do is, once you get to that point, you have to find that naturalization paper, which can tell you where in Italy they came from. So let me see if I can get this. I was going to show you naturalization papers, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to. Hold on. Let me see if I can. Naturalization papers. I cannot find them right now. But basically, what you have to do is you have to find the naturalization papers and then figure out where in Italy they came from. I have an example right here. Hold on. Let me just look real quick. Hold on. Alright. Naturalization. Wait, I know where it is. Hang on a second. This guy filled that air here. Hold on.
No problem.
So professional, right? Alright. Alright, hold on here. Alright. Okay. Did it? Alright. Here it is. Alright, now I need to show this. I need to share the screen so you can see this. Alright, present. Share screen. Alright, share screen. All screen. Alright, there. Can you see the screen?
Just 1 second. There we go.
Yeah, let me know if you can see the screen okay.
Yep, it's on there now.
Okay. See, this is a naturalization paper for my second great grandmother, Katerina's sister, Consuela Papatrola. Her maiden name is Coppola. So you can see here on it that she was born in San Pietro Armida. They changed it to San Pietro Armida. She arrived in America on June 1st, 1911. She had all these children, and that's where they sailed out from. It's important to remember that when somebody's sailing out from a certain area, that does not mean that they're from that area. Like if someone sailed out from like Naples or Palermo or Genoa, those are the three major ports where Italian immigrants came from. You know, basically the north and the south and the island. It's important to remember that they were probably not born there, so important to keep that in mind. So once you have that town, right, you want to go to, let's see, I wish you can share all the screens, but let's see. All right, stop sharing right now. All right, once you've done that, once you found the naturalization papers, you want to go to a site called Antonati, which will, you can type in the town's name and you can find the town's records and everything in there. And
Okay.
sometimes some towns aren't in there because the digital process is still going on. So once you find the town in there, you can find the ancestor, find the birth records, death records, or whatever. You can also find those same records on Family Search too.
Okay. So on Family Search, they have the full.
Yeah, but
Okay.
some records you can only find at a family center or an affiliate library.
Okay.
Really depends on the town. And unfortunately, for like San Pietro and other towns, you can only get that information if you go to a certain like library or affiliate.
Okay. And now Italy has multiple. They're called counties there still, or
Regions.
What are they?
Regions.
Okay.
They're like states. You know, there's Calabria, Campania. Yep. It's also subdivided into certain areas too.
And then, is it generally the same process no matter where? Once you find out where they're from.
What was that?
Would it be the same process once you find out where they're?
Yes, it would. So it's also important to remember that certain towns are fraziones of a major city. That would be like a suburb here in the United States.
Okay.
Like if someone saying it's like a suburb of Naples or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just 1 second. I noticed I'm frozen there on the screen.
Yeah.
It's I'm going to fix that. You give me 1 minute here. No, that didn't work. Of course. Well, let's do this. Put you there and keep talking. So when you're looking at those, is there a place where I would go if I don't know the town? Would be there a place where I could go where I could search for my family's name and might give me an idea where to start looking? Like, are some names regional or?
Well, no. Some names are. It's just. Well, this. What do you mean? I don't really understand the question.
So, would there be certain surnames which would be?
Oh, surnames.
Surnames which would be regional. So I know if I have this surname, chances are it came from this region. And if so, is there a place where I could look to maybe discover that?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a place called Cognomics. You can look up a certain surname. I'll call it up here. I'll share the screen in a second. Just let me present again. All right. Share screen. Share screen. All right. Share entire screen. There we go. This will be easier. All right. You see everything? Okay. All right. This is called Cognomics. You can type in an Italian last name, right? I'm going to put in my last name. Okay. And this will show you how the last name Ferraiolo is distributed around Italy. And as you can see, it's a pretty decent common name. But I know for a fact that my ancestors came from Calabria, which is right here. Okay. You click on that, and look, you can see Catanzaro and Reggio Calabria. Now, remember that lady from earlier? She was born in San Pietro Armida, right? So you want to go here instead of in Reggio Calabria. And look, San Pietro is right. Oh, shoot. It's not loading. It's right there. See?
Okay.
So that's how you would find out where certain names came from.
Okay.
But however, some names are really, really, we're talking millions of people with the same last name. So if you put in something like, give me an Italian last name.
Liberatori.
Liberatori. Nope. I'll try something.
It ends with an E, I believe.
All right. Try this one. Tedesco.
Okay.
See? That's a very common last name. And my great-grandmother, Maria Tedesco, shared that name. So
yeah, you really would need the
you would need to know the birthplace and everything else like that.
Would I know you said the naturalization records when you were talking about where they came from? Would there be certain regions, if I looked at what ports they were leaving from, that at least that would tell me?
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely. They would definitely tell you, because if you go to like, let's see if I can find it here. This is on my treatise, consider right there. So, anyway, yeah. I know her brother John, is actually a big name in Haverhill because he actually invited a whole bunch of Italians from San Pietro to Haverhill, Massachusetts. So he kind of a big deal.
Okay.
But you can actually see his passenger list right here. Okay, let it load. Okay, obviously the quality is a little but
yeah, often
gets
when
the
you're looking
job
at those
done. You can actually
documents.
See, there he is right there. I don't know if you can read it really well. So, the Giovanni Coppola and his wife Natalina. Okay, and they both went to Haverhill, Massachusetts. And the rest, as they say, is history. And look, you can see San Pietro. San Pietro's on here too, right there. Yeah, no, wait, yeah. You can see that they came from San Pietro. So there you go. And it's like that all across the board with every Italian immigrant, every immigrant in general, actually. So that's how that works.
Is there time periods that would when when different groups of Italians came over to North America that would tell you, sort of give you a clue of would there be certain regions or even areas where they tended to go in America? Would there be?
Yeah.
I guess in would they communities? If you were from a community in Italy, would you tend, if you got to them? You're in New England, if you got the Massachusetts area or whatever, would you just go, and would there be a general Italian community, or even within that there would be people that were from the different regions that would?
Well, yeah, Italians tended to group together and make a community, and that's literally what happened with the Italians who went to Haverhill, Massachusetts. They went from all over Haverhill and all over Italy and settled in Haverhill, Mass, which led to a great community being developed there. And there was even a book called Italians in Haverhill. Yeah. And I actually have a copy, and there's actually several people in my family related to me. No direct ancestors, just like people who are tangentially related in there, and they settled there, and history went on its way. Just life happened, and you get immortalized in this book. So, and they were just, but not. They didn't say anything bad. Nothing bad ever happened, because people were still people, and there were still problems and everything. But there was still a sizable population there, and they also went to places like Boston, New York, obviously. They went to New Jersey.
Italians in New York. I never heard of it.
Yeah, really? Italians in New York? Really? I don't know. You have to talk to Joey Tribbiani about that one, right?
So, I know from my family research and doing other ones that when you have people that come from communities, it makes sense that they stick together when they come to a new country. Because of that, is there within the Italian community, would there be a lot of endogamy, or was there enough population influx that wasn't as common?
It really depends, because Okay. Good thing I have these one-place studies up. These are my one-place studies. So, in the town of Gesualdo, I have some endogamy, whatever, like way
Endogamy,
back
yeah.
in the 1700s or so.
Yep.
And because that was a small town.
Yep.
But in my case, several people went from Gesualdo to a nearby town, found some, love or whatever, and they would have a family with somebody there. Gesualdo had several neighboring communities like Frusciante, Grana Bernarda, and a couple other places too. And yeah, that's what happens sometimes. People just get together, but still, there was still a lot of endogamy there. San Pietro, on the other hand, has a lot because there's lots of several big families, and big families are going to intermarry, for the good of the community, and that happens. And
did it happen as much when they came to North America, just because of the?
No, because there were more people, I guess, to choose from.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. And Italy, being in Europe, mainland Europe, the boundaries of Europe changed so much over the last previous century, 2 centuries, century and a half, 2 centuries. Does that create an issue for finding Italian records?
I'm going to say yes and no. Okay. Because while Italy has been, while Italy did unify in 1861, that's great and everything, the whole country's unified, but all the record keeping really started when Napoleon said, hey, you have to, keep a tab on all your people, where they all came from. So you actually see the records being kept by City Hall starting at like 1800 or somewhere around there. But before that, you would have to go to church records.
Yeah. And are the church records in, I want to say good shape, but are they, for the most part, pretty substantial?
I would think so, yes. Some of them are online, thankfully. There are some places that just got their baptismal records all online. I know a few friends of mine in the Italy project on Wikitree are really, really happy about some of the records being online.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. It just depends on which town, again, because each town has to report to the capital and all that. And, there's a lot of red tape and everything.
And with that being available online now, obviously that saves you a lot of money, not having to necessarily go over or get things. Is it still though a lot that you have to, that the actual records are online like you showed me, or are the records that you have to maybe order from the different areas or regions to get an actual copy of it if you want it, or even to see it, other than maybe having it indexed?
Yeah. Well, to ask for information, you can always email the Common Office. I've had some great luck emailing them. They've given me information, stuff like that. And I've actually had relatives who still live in San Pietro, and they've given me a lot of information too. I haven't really heard back from the churches at all. And, I pleaded my case to them. It's like, hey, but thing is, I don't know which church, they got married. The people I'm looking for got married in. That's the thing. You have to know that.
Yeah, that can definitely make it hard. With that being said, going to talk to you a little bit more just about Italian, but you were talking about the Italian project on Wikitree. People who might not be familiar with Wikitree that are watching this on the replay or watching it now, I've just explained a little bit about what country or regional projects are, and what's the benefits for a person getting involved, and what maybe they can contribute.
Well, the Italy project, I'm glad you asked. They have the project up here. Hold on. Do I have to share the screen? All right, entire screen. Here we go. All right, here we go. Back to the whole screen. All right, the Italy project is one of many, many regional projects that WikiTree has to offer. Basically, our mission is to look up, support research, collaborate on profiles of people with Italian heritage or origin, and basically look up everybody trying to connect people in America and elsewhere with Italian roots in Europe. There are no requirements to join. You don't really need to have Italian heritage to be a member. Just have a passing interest in Italian genealogy, and we can pencil you in, I guess. And we have different sub projects too. We have people who take care of the diaspora, different regions, the notables, categories, like that. And we're actually working on several different categories for different communities too, because we have to put them in one at a time, unfortunately. But we're getting there. There's thousands of towns in Italy, and we only have like a fraction of them represented in categories. So, but we have a great project leader. She's really awesome, and her name's Asher, and I'm one of the project coordinators. So is my friend Frank. So, we just research Italy, just like any of the other regional projects on WikiTree. We end up trying to find links between Italy and America. Well, I do anyway, and that's why we have like stuff like one-place studies, like my Gesualdo one-place study. As you can see, it's a lot of people in it. Let's go to the Gesualdo category, and right here. And as you can see, there's quite a few people in the category. These are all people who came from Gesualdo, stuff like that. So, and the same thing with San Pietro. So, we're basically just taking all the information from other sources and putting them in one spot where everybody can look at it and say, hey, wow, they really researched the entire town or whatever. And that's what the Italy project is trying to do, because we have people who have links to all over the place, not just the United States. We have members from Argentina, Brazil, other places too. It's just really, really fun to check out. So, great community.
Where are the major places that Italians, when they did immigrate,
well,
I mean, United States, obviously, and
United States, obviously. They didn't all go to they went to New York. In the United States, they went to New York, and they went to Boston, they went to New Jersey, and they also went to places like Argentina. Mm-hmm. That's actually where some of my great grandfather's siblings went to. See if I can find her real quick. All right. Okay. And let's see. Yeah, see, Caterina Ferraiolo, she went to Argentina. I haven't really found much information on her because Argentina records are kind of hard to figure out right now. But I know she went there. There's also people who went as far as Switzerland. Some people even went to Australia too. So they went all over the world, but by far the most people went to the United States. So.
And I know in Canada that one of the big locations they went to was Montreal.
Yeah.
Now, when were the big periods of immigration from Italy?
The big period of immigration started in like the 1910s. I want to say like the 1890s to the 1920s. That's when like we're talking millions of people left Italy, and they settled all over the world. And one of the big questions I'm going to ask is, why did they all leave Italy? Well, It's because conditions were really, really poor, to be honest. You know, the Italian government, once everything was unified, the government favored made policies that favored the North instead of like the South. That's why most immigrants were from the south of Italy. So that's why you see like people migrating from there, and that's why the culture permeated throughout the rest of the world because the
Yeah, because
southern
that's one.
region.
I mean,
Yeah,
when I think of Italian culture, it's really North American Italian culture that probably,
yeah,
and I guess would be highly influenced, you said, by Southern Italy,
yeah.
and Sicily, and um,
But
okay,
but you know, no one's last name was changed to Ellis Island like they should at God in Godfather Part Two.
no,
That was just so annoying.
I'm sure there was spelling mistakes and things just because I know
Oh,
with my own family throughout the years in different records, I have family members, and it seemed, especially when it looks like whoever the government person was taking the record, they were biased. With my Scottish family, some are listed in some places as Mick MC, and some are listed as Mac. They're the same people, but they. I'm sure that went on, but yeah, nobody changed their name.
yeah.
I'm sure.
Well, yeah, those ship manifests were all made in in Europe before
Yeah, they
like
were made before they came over, so
yeah.
that's the same as in Canada when we're looking for records. At least the records that come from shipping stuff, it's taken from the passenger list, which would have been established in Europe. I mentioned before I don't have any real connection other than food to Italy. I do have something. My grandfather was part of the Royal Canadian Highlanders, which helped liberate Rome in after World War II. And this is one of the neat kind of little things that I have from Italy. This was from him from let's see.
That is really cool.
Yeah, this is somebody made from and bought from 1944, and it's just kind of a neat little. That's my one Italian, other than the food culture. If it and apparently I have Italian DNA according to my heritage, Southern Italian DNA, but
Yeah.
um,
My heritage thinks that I have Norwegian DNA, so it's okay. It's fine.
yeah, I have, and I can kind of see with the record, but I don't think I have. At least none of my ancestors that came to Canada came from Italy. I've had people in my family marry into people from Italy, but uh, I wouldn't have their DNA because they're not down that side
Well,
of it. That they're not contributing members. They're aunts and uncles. My dad's aunt married an Italian, so um, so what else on Wikitree? You also mentioned you do one place studies of different communities, which are
yeah.
great. And what else do you find yourself doing on Wikitree? I know I see you regularly on any of the live streams. Often you're on it or you're chatting in.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And we also go to like I think I've seen you in WNOLE streams a few times, I think. Yeah.
So,
Well, I just research my ancestors obviously. I tend to focus on the Italian side only because like there's only so much out there and my mom's side is pretty well documented
yeah,
because her side's been on North American soil since like the 1600s. It's all here. So it's just like, okay. So it's just like, all right, what am I going to do? Okay, I'll research my dad's side. So what else
yeah,
can I do? I mean, yes, I do research it every once in a while, just kind of, polish off a few things. Because in the end, everybody came to Haverhill, Massachusetts at one point or another. That's why my blog is called All Roads Lead to Haverhill. Insert plug here.
that that is a that is true. I mean, I have so many relatives on both sides of my family, the Scottish and the Irish, that they wound up in Massachusetts somewhere during post World War II. Most of them left, and they wound up going down there at some point. Was there a big? I know in Canada there was a big Italian immigration in the late '60s, early '70s. Was there that going on as well?
By that point in America, the policies tended to change a little bit because everybody just really depended on who was going and where they were coming from. So I want to say like most of the immigration happened in the 20s, but there was still some immigration. I have some friends whose parents were right off the board Italian, so they came from, they came like during the 60s and 70s. So it just kind of like tapered off a little bit, but there was still immigration, but not as big as it was in the 1920s.
Would that immigration, a lot of it be people who had been here already established and bringing over cousins?
Yeah, there was a lot of chain migration too. Yeah, that's what we would call chain migration. Now, back then it was just, hey, buddy, you want to come over? That's how it was.
Yeah, maybe that's why a lot of them wound up coming to Canada that period. Maybe it was a little more open for.
And we had people who went back and forth, but by like 1929, 1930, the U.S. government was like, okay, you have to stop all our policies towards immigration. It's got to change. So, yeah, that unfortunately led to some unfortunate incidents, like what happened when Jewish immigrants came over in the 1930s. And I think we know what happened.
They we wouldn't let them in Canada either.
Yeah, I think we all know what happened there.
Yeah. That's definitely an unfortunate situation. Now, what's your favorite thing about being Italian or having Italian heritage? What's the thing that you say that when you think about yourself, you think that's me, I'm Italian, and I show it this way?
Well, you just want me to talk about the food.
Well, food, it could be food, could be music, it could be, your tastes in entertainment or.
Oh, speaking of, entertainment, like a while back, Ancestry did this thing with Spotify, the songs of your ancestors, stuff like that.
Yeah.
They put some Italian pop songs on there. They weren't saying happy things about the Italian government. Let's just say that right now. Like, yeah, that's the music of my heritage, all right. Yeah. Good job, Ancestry.
Well,
yeah, when I think of, I don't know, I gotta think of like the food, maybe. Just because you get like all the different types of pasta and all that stuff. I like that, obviously, and like some people might ask, how often do you have the food of your ancestors? I say maybe too often, because obviously we have like pasta like once a week or something like that.
It's Italian food. You can't have it too often. I mean,
no, you really can't. You can't tell an Italian man to skip on the pasta, the tomato sauce, even though they have problems with it. You cannot do that.
Yeah. No. But a couple things about Chris that wasn't mentioned. Chris is a writer and an artist of a webcomic, which is kind of a neat thing. Just you want to just quickly tell us a little bit about that, and we'll.
Well, I've liked comic books since I was like 11 years old, and I created a superhero team, which is called the Starbolts, and I made a webcomic about that because, like I cannot draw to save my life, so I use like sprites and stuff that I made. Like I am not Jack Kirby. I'm sure you know who Jack Kirby is, right? Yeah, co-creator of Captain America, Avengers, all that. Not even Steve Ditko. Not really that great, but you know what? Stan Lee himself even said that he cannot draw his own characters. That's Stan Lee, the guy who created half the Marvel universe. So I just create comics based on my own creations, and they have adventures and stuff like that.
Well, that's cool.
So that's what that story's about. I've been writing that since I was a teenager.
Okay. So if people want to find you on the internet, what's the best way besides checking out WikiTree on Saturday morning? You're usually there during their live.
Well, you can put the URLs down below, I'm sure.
Yep, they're in the description there.
All right. Yeah, there's all like the Hero blogspot.com and the starbull.blogspot.com, where you can find all of my stuff. And I used to do videos like this one on YouTube, but when I reviewed comics and everything like that, that was fun.
Okay. Well, again, thank you very much, and you have a great day. And everybody else there, keep searching for your ancestors.